Szeretettel köszöntök minden kedves nézőt a Menedzser Szövetség Menedzserek a társadalomért fókuszban a jövő elnevezésű konferenciáján. A téma ugye gazdaság a fenntartható jövő szolgálatában, avagy az ökológiailag fenntartható gazdaság. A panelbeszélgetés ugye élőben van, a közvetítés alatt várjuk nézőink részéről a kérdéseket, Q&A részben fogunk erre válaszokat adni. Itt ugye párhuzamosan zajlanak a Q&A beszélgetések és a panelbeszélgetések, és a Q&A a Facebook felületen követhető. Még annyit szeretnék így housekeeping oldalról elmondani, hogy a konferenciával kapcsolatos jegybevételekből és adományokból befolyó összegeket a Menedzser Szövetség partnerével egyetemen faültető programra fogja fordítani, a cél pedig 1000 fa elültetése 2021 őszén. And now I would like to switch to English as two of our distinguished members are non-native Hungarians. This panel is about Earth, travel, adventure, and partners in discussion are Mrs. Ildikó Kiss from Air France KLM, Arne Klein from Budapest Marriott Hotel, Balázs Kovács from Danubius Hotels Group, and we have digitally with us Lennart de Klerk, who is the owner of Irota Ecolodge. Just starting out with the first question, I would like to have first a quick one-word introduction from everybody, but basically let's start with a kickoff. What have we learned from the past 12 months that we can turn into the benefit of a hopefully quick rebound? Ildikó.
First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. It's a great pleasure. Well, I think our industry, as much the tourism and the airline industry, never faced such a crisis what we are facing now. We started, of course, last year in March. What we learned from our side as an airline that we have to change our model very, very quickly and adapt to the new situation. First of all, we had to help a lot of passengers to get home because, of course, they were stranded abroad and they had no opportunity to come home. So I'm very proud that several 100,000 people came home or succeeded to come home thanks to the airlines. And the other thing, of course, the demand for the cargo activity increased tremendously. Not only at the beginning we were transporting all the medical equipment, and now also we are participating with the vaccination to transport all around the world. So at least there is one part of the business which is working very well. And well, proudly in Hungary now we are with KLM we are flying every day since May last year when we restarted to fly, and Air France is coming back as well as from the beginning of March with 3 weekly flights. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Tourism in generally is, I think, is connecting the different industries together. So we're the glue between businesses. We go for foreign exchange. We help business development, and security and safety, as Ildikó mentioned, is in the forefront. We launched very quickly our commitment to clean, to make sure that our travelers feel safe and secure within our properties, and we have to further drive our digital and contactless experiences for our guests.
Balázs?
Well, I think there are a lot of learning points from the past almost 12 months. One of them definitely being that the desire to travel has not stopped. I think it's the burning desire is still there within people. We have seen it last summer when there was an opening, there was an opportunity, people grasped the opportunity, and that's great hope for the future. So I think no matter how serious COVID-19 has been so far, fundamentally people are still a social animal. We want to travel, we want to meet people, and that's something we can definitely build on in the future.
Lennart?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to participate. Yeah, I think what we've learned in the past 12 months is that we need to spend more time and make sure that our guests know what to expect. They're looking now for personal space, making sure that everything is safe and properly disinfected. So we've spent more time on informing our future guests on what they can expect at our property.
Thank you very much. Obviously, I would be asking you guys, but feel free to comment on any topic that's being raised. We discussed about topics before about sustainability, the issues of over-tourism and under-tourism. Balázs, I would like to ask you an interesting question that there's always been a debate about over-tourism and under-tourism. When we're all coming back to travel, do you see that there could be a challenge between new destinations that have been quiet before versus those that have been flooded with tourists, thereby when we shift the focus to new unspoiled destinations, they could be at the mercy of unspoiled, becoming crowded, dusty, that's why killing sustainability in a way?
Well, clearly, Attila, I think it's a good question. It remains to be seen, but I guess if what Leonard has just said, that if people are looking for more personal space, then it's a very real possibility that people will be avoiding destinations that have been overcrowded in the past. Take Barcelona, Venice, and Amsterdam. There are a number of cities across Europe and in the world that has been we're sort of suffocated by tourists. And now if these tourists will want to find their personal space, they might as well explore new destinations, new islands where tourism has not been present or at a very limited level. Now, it will have, I think, an interesting effect. On the one hand, it will ease the suffocation on those very popular destinations. And on the other, it will have an impact on these new and upcoming destinations because airlines will start flying there, Marriott will open a property, and suddenly these destinations, which have been very sustainable, will become also, they will be captured by tourism. They will see the benefits, they will see an uplift in their on the economy side for sure, but on the sustainability side, there will definitely be some negative impact as well. So what's a gain here is a loss there. It's almost, you could say it's a zero balance game, but I think it will be very interesting to see that.
Coming from a happy industry, obviously travel, hospitality is a happy industry because we're spending our well-earned forints and euros onto joys of life. To Ildikó, the question is that KLM has been announcing that you guys will go synthetic or green kerosene. Can you just enlighten us that how this thing will support sustainability and going green?
Of course. Well, I think one of the biggest challenge in the airline industry is the CO2 emission. Because if we look at the total emission the aviation industry is responsible for, it's around 2-3% today. But it will increase if we don't do anything. Because of course, if you look at the car industry, there, electric cars, it's a reality now. Electric planes, well, small planes, there are some possibilities, but well, for the big commercial aircraft, this is not really something which seems to be possible today. So what we are doing on our side, actually since 2009, we are working to find a sustainable aviation fuel. Actually in 2011, KLM was the first airline in the world flying an aircraft with biofuel. Back then, this biofuel was made from wasted food and cooking oil, used cooking oil. But today, now we have another project as well. Last month, we flew an aircraft between Amsterdam and Madrid, partly with this synthetic kerosene, which is made out of CO2, water, and sustainable energy, sun and wind. So can you imagine this laboratory work, which was actually prepared in cooperation with Shell. So we prepared 500 liters of this batch, and we flew this aircraft, because this is a sustainable solution. And with sustainable aviation fuel, you can decrease the CO2 emission by 80%.
Sounds like an interesting vision, and hopefully...
Maybe it's an utopia today, but we hope that it will be a reality in the future.
From a global player point of view, Arne, how do you guys do it within Marriott, sustainability globally and locally here within your Budapest properties?
Well, we launched many years ago our Surf 360, which adheres to the UN goals, the 17 sustainability goals that the UN has. It ranges from sourcing cage-free eggs to linen reuse programs. We will change now to residential amenities in our guest rooms, as well as we have a local project here with a company in Szeged who does redowning. So we will resource redowned projects, redowned products in our hotels to make sure that we also reduce less water.
So it's not a new initiative, but it's been in the backbone of the hotel companies for many years.
Part of our
now
culture.
it's just kind of, wrapping it up to with fashionable and trendy words, but you guys have been practicing this. To Leonard, people say that small is beautiful, that goes without saying. And how do you think, based on your experience with your product, that the eco-friendly, per se, unmanned tiny places can have exponentially bigger success versus big old full-service resort properties?
Well, like I mentioned, Mark, I think people are looking for personal space. Maybe at some point the pandemia is over, but people are still afraid to look for crowds, and therefore I do think that small resorts outside of the cities will be becoming a little bit more popular. Maybe as a second step, we will see also that people will be looking for more eco-friendly locations, as more and more people are realizing that the current way of living that we have leads to climate change, but also could be one of the causes that we are in this pandemic. So I do think that we will see an increase of value of small local resorts. At the same time, we should avoid, as Balázs already mentioned, avoid that this will become unsustainable, that we spoil the unspoiled spots of our world.
All right. I would like to throw in a joint question for everybody. We talked about, Danubius, Marriott are sizable players on the local and global hotel market. KLM, we don't have to explain what is your role in the airline industry. So we see that the products and our people, and when we talk about our people, our associates, are we eco-friendly and sustainable versus are our clients, the guests, the passengers, do they understand this, or it's kind of like a mysterious foam around this sustainability issue?
Well, I think people are more and more focused on sustainability and responsibility for the future. And I think parents also always look at their children and their grandchildren that, we would like to have a viable future for them. And this is our responsibility as much as individuals, but also the companies. So I think both sides are responsible and should be responsible and work together on that. For example, on Air France-KLM, if you would like to, for example, compensate the CO2 emission when you fly, it is possible. So you can, when you book your flight online, you can compensate for your CO2 emission. As a corporate, if you are flying with Air France-KLM, you can also compensate for your CO2 emission. And of course, this money is used, for example, for a forestation project. So far, more than 7.5 million trees were planted thanks to this reforestation program which we support. So, I think it's a joint responsibility.
Definitely. The question is fundamentally, as hospitality players, we are still trying to cater for our customer needs. And there are, as we all know, customer needs are different. So I think that the critical element is here that we give them a choice. And some people will want to take more advantage of sustainable services, others will not. Now, I think most hotels have to make a decision. There will be certain things where the hotel will make a decision. Say, we will replace plastic straws with paper straws and plastic cups with reusable mugs, and there's no choice for the customer. And there are other elements of the service where the customer have an ability to consciously decide whether or not they want to be more sustainable or less. Do they want a daily room service, do room cleaning or not? Do they want to use their towels again, or do they want it changed on a daily basis? So I think it's all about giving the choice to the customer, and that they can decide to their individual, depending on the individual need, how much they want to be sociable and responsible. And we all know there will be some who are very much into it and others are not. And the other element is, are they going to pay for it? Because let's face it, using not cheap plastic cups, let's stay with this example, and but reusable, more paper cups, it costs more. And in the end of the day, the customer will, somebody will need to pay for it. Exactly. So it's one thing to be aware, and it's another, are we willing to pay more for the beauty of it? And that remains to be seen, I think.
Yeah, as Balázs mentioned, I think it's absolutely optional for our guests.
Yeah.
We see a lot of, I would say 90% of our RFPs that we do, customers request our sustainability measures, and generally also community service measures, which is part of the sustainability, but it will remain an option, such as when do I want to have my roommate, or if I would like to have my roommate.
Or one pillow versus 7 pillows, because let's face it, that's a serious cost on the hotel, and some people just throw the pillow on the floor anyway. But if it's not there, they're complaining. So it's kind of an education process we have to take our guests through, to understand that we're not working against them. We're working to sustain the opportunity to travel. I'm looking at the distant echo friend.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we are the first and so far only carbon neutral accommodation in Hungary. However, our experience is that people, when they select an accommodation, it's first and foremost, the location and whether it's luxurious or not. The fact that you're sustainable or even carbon neutral is a nice add-on. But I do think that's going to change, that at some point, that if you're not sustainable, if you're not carbon neutral, people simply will select a different accommodation. I think it's for travelers very difficult to understand whether an accommodation is truly sustainable, or that's a lot of marketing, or call it greenwashing in place. So I think the main responsibility in making travel sustainable, I think, lies with the providers of the services.
My co-host is getting eager to ask a question, which will come soon. But we discussed a topic outside the room, is about rebound. When do you guys, and most of the tourists, most people who are involved in travel, be it a service provider or a tourist, are eager to see when and how will rebound come. Will it be quick? Will it be sudden, or will it be softly as possible reopening comes? What's your take on it, guys? And it goes for the whole panel.
Well, great question, Attila. Ever since we started in the pandemic, we always talked about a U-shaped recovery, so it will not rebound extremely quick as we always hoped, as it was in 2008. 2009 when we had the financial crisis.
But we don't want to go through the whole alphabet, right?
No. But so it's a U-shaped recovery. We believe that by 2024 we would be there where we were in 2029. We heard just now that for some industries it might take longer. We'll see some recovery this year. It will be definitely a transition year.
what I feel as well, I think Europe will recover, so people within Europe will travel more because they will feel it safer, and of course we hope that within the European Union there will be a more common approach regarding the restrictions and rules. But what we see, people are eager to travel, so they would like to go. I think when it will be possible, suddenly the demand will be really huge, and we can't wait for that. Yeah. I think we all do, but yeah, it will take some time.
Balázs, for you it's a bit of a dual question. Budapest countryside, one eye crying, the other eye smiling.
Well, now we are crying. Both sides are crying right now as we speak, but we are hoping that at least the domestic business will start rebounding earlier, as we have seen last summer. We're certainly not expecting Budapest to have a great second part of this year. I only hope. You see, last year in summer we started to reopen our hotels, then we had to close them again. What I'm hoping this year to achieve is that we can open and keep them open. That's already a big change versus 2020.
Leonard?
Yeah, no, I do think that domestic tourism will rebound first, hopefully already this spring. And indeed, I do support what Balázs is saying, because we do see that people simply, don't want to book now because they simply don't know whether, their holiday can take place. So I think it's essential for the governments to give clarity on. If they open up, it's for the long term.
All right, Pepper, you wanted to ask something, right?
I would like to ask Ildiko, how will short-haul travel change? Are trains, buses, or cars real challengers to the aviation industry?
Ildiko?
Okay. I think short-haul flights. Is the train is a competition? Maybe you will be surprised. I will say no, it's not a competition. We are encouraging people to fly responsibly, which means if you can take a train instead of taking a short-haul flight, please take a train. We have even a program about that, which is called Fly Responsibly.
I think we couldn't have asked this question much more precise. And as we're running short of time, just one quick takeaway for our listeners before we move into the Q&A. What would you guys say? any messages to the audience?
Stay responsively, be safe and well. I think this pandemic also taught us to remain healthy in our own community and protect everybody.
Ildiko?
Yeah, I think safety is the most important, and staying safe. But on the other hand as well, what I would like to ask people when they travel, please check what kind of rules and regulation apply for traveling, because travel is still possible, but of course there are certain rules and regulations people have to comply with, and it's good to be prepared. Thank you.
Well, what can I say? Let's hope the spirit remains, and I wish that the urge for travel and will remain within the people. And we look forward to seeing them at our hotels, on our planes, in our restaurants, as soon as possible.
Leonard?
And I would say visit your own country. Hungary is a beautiful country, and I'm sure that there are some spots that still are to be discovered instead of traveling abroad. Stay home, visit your own country.
Köszönjük szépen. Mi akkor folytatjuk tovább a Q&A szekcióban.
Az 1974-ben Terry Gou által startupként Tajvanon alapított és a tajvani tőzsdén jegyzett cég, a Hon Hai Precision Industry, mára a főként Foxconn Technology Groupként ismert és a világ legmeghatározóbb vállalatai közé tartozó csoport anyavállalata lett. A globális vállalkozás a Fortune idei listáján a 26. helyet foglalja el. Tavalyi éves árbevétele több mint 172 milliárd dollár, és világszerte 1 millió munkavállalót foglalkoztat. Magyarországon 2003 óta vannak jelen. A Foxconn csoport tagjaként működő Foxconn Industrial Internet leányvállalataként létrehozott Cloud Network Technology Kft. A tajvani óriásvállalat legfontosabb hazai képviselője. A világ legnagyobb amerikai és ázsiai elektronikai cégeinek gyártanak berendezéseket. A Magyarországon működő nagyvállalatok közt 2019-ben a legnagyobb árbevétel növekedést a Cloud Network Technology Kft. Érte el. A bevétel 453 milliárd forintra emelkedett. A cég látványos bevétel növekedése két nagy termékcsoportnak, a hálózati eszközöknek és a kompjútertermékeknek köszönhető. Bő 5 milliárd forintos beruházással bővítik a gyár raktározási kapacitását, ezzel is igazodva a szerverek és storage eszközök iránti folyamatosan növekvő kereslethez. A vállalat nagy hangsúlyt fektet a munkavállalók elkötelezettségének növelésére. Ehhez nem csak a példásan kialakított közösségi terek, kávézó és étterem járul hozzá, de a közös élmények, programok összetartó ereje is. A gyárban a legmagasabb szintű higiéniás és járványvédelmi előírások szigorú betartásával folyik a termelés. A társadalmi felelősségvállalás jegyében a komáromi telephelyen egy igen jelentős kapacitású orvosi maszkgyártósort is felépítettek a Foxconn csoport segítségével. A koronavírus ellenére a 2020-as évben további bevételnövekedést prognosztizál a vállalat.
Vajon megváltoztathatjuk a világot azzal, ha a műanyagmentes életmódra váltunk? Zöldebb jövőnk lesz-e attól, ha csak helyi termesztésű élelmiszereket fogyasztunk? Vagy ha kizárólag megújuló energiaforrásokat használunk az otthonunkban? Ha egyedül csináljuk, nem biztos, de ha összefogunk, igen, mert mi közösen tehetünk a fenntarthatóbb jövőért. Az EON-nál hiszünk az összefogás erejében és abban, hogy a jó ötletek egy jobb világhoz vezetnek. Ezért nem csak támogatjuk az energiatudatos projekteket, hanem napelemeinkkel, elektromos töltőhálózat kiépítésével és e-flotta szolgáltatásunkkal közvetlenül is részt veszünk a közös munkában a fenntarthatóbb hétköznapokért. Mi abban hiszünk, hogy együtt jobbá tehetjük a világunkat, és a jövőnket még jobbá, hiszen a mi előtt nincs lehetetlen. EON.
We stand at a junction, a crossroads between two futures. Welcome back, future.
To English while I'm asking. First question is, though we touched base on it, if we can elaborate, are the travelers considering it when choosing an airline or an accommodation that the given service provider how much care about sustainability and green life? Did you have any feedbacks, remarks or comments on before arrival, during stay or post departure on this topic?
If I can elaborate on that, because we are very much focused since we started in 2016 on sustainability. And very often we've organized drinks in summer where we invited all our guests for a glass of wine, and that also gave us the opportunity to learn a little bit about the reasons why they're here and so on. And as I mentioned already in the panel discussion, most of the time people were aware of it, but it was not the main reason they visited Irote Ecolodge. We did have one occasion. It was actually a Belgian family, and the parents decided that it was up to the children to decide where to go. I think to avoid quarrels, between the parents and the children. And actually, here the children specifically mentioned that they chosen us because we were carbon neutral. So I think that also links a bit to what was said in the panel discussion, that the children, the next generation, so to say, takes this more serious than the elderly people.
Why would that be? That the children are more, our kids are more serious than?
Well, I think climate change will really start to bite when they are grown up and will have families. That's one. Secondly, to them it's part of when they grew up and go to school. It was part of what they've been told, that this is a really issue. It's the same like smoking. If you go one generation back, they were still smoking in bars and into houses. I cannot at the moment, imagine that I would be going to a bar or to a restaurant and someone would be smoking next to me. So, this is the speed. I think it's going. It goes by generation.
Ildiko?
Yeah, I agree with Leonard what he said. Yes, I think the younger generation is more sensitive. In the airline industry, it's difficult to say that does a passenger or traveler choose an airline because it's more sustainable. Hard to measure. Of course, we can measure based on how many people are at the end offsetting the CO2 by flying. And also a few companies are actually very eager to also sign a contract with us and to compensate the CO2 emission. But yes, as we discussed in the panel, there is one thing, people say we are concerned about the future of the planet, but on the other hand, yes, am I ready to pay for it or no? And depending on the cultures and on the countries, some countries are more advanced. For instance, in Europe, the Nordic countries are very much focused on sustainability, and there we really see the passengers are taking decisions based on the sustainability as well. But on the other parts of Europe, I think it's still to come. But I'm positive that it will come.
Guys? Arne or Balázs?
No, as both mentioned, I think larger corporations inquire about sustainability efforts in advance, whereas the individual traveler takes it as an amenity on the spot of what's been done, whether it's linen reuse, cage-free eggs, etc. It's more an amenity for them. They appreciate the effort, but it's not for the individual traveler, at least in our case, driving their demand to our hotels.
Balázs, what's your different view on this, or anything?
I completely agree. I don't see this being a purchase decision driver at the moment. It's everybody thinks it's important and it's a box you need to tick. But right now we don't see customers really demanding it in a way that it will drive their decision. It will probably change.
Sorry, Ildiko, you mentioned that the Nordic countries are very advanced in sustainability and more aware. How do you see it from global perspective? And also it goes for Leonard. Us in Hungary, are we in kind of the mid-range or advanced to European average, or is still kind of a lot to learn? What is your?
I think people are considering sustainability. It is an important topic, but again, I think ready to pay for it, ready to pay extra for it or not, that's another question. So I still feel that it's the corporate social responsibility which also need to invest into this, and I think it is a good investment for the future. Something which maybe there is no return on investment today, but there will be a return on investment in the future.
And
talking about, does it drive demand? for example, in the Netherlands, I know examples of governmental agencies that do require if an employee goes on a business trip, that he can only book or make a reservation in hotels that have been certified, for example, with the Green Key certification. So in that sense, maybe the Netherlands is more ahead, but I do see that this will happen more and more, that you basically need a green stamp on your accommodation in order to be eligible for certain type of clients.
Arne, how do you see?
Well, we also rely on our owners, since we are an operating company, that they build sustainable and operate sustainable with us. We would like to open 2,000 more units until 2025, and as Balázs also mentioned, it will drive customers to destinations where we do not have properties currently. And we just need to make sure that we also build or refurbish sustainable.
But for the owners, and it can go this to Balázs and Arne as well. When you guys go to the owners, that guys, we need to invest to be sustainable. Of course, now we're in a special situation and there's no cash basically for the hotel. But when you want to talk to the owner, convince them that you have to invest into the future. Are the owners receptive? Because we have been talking about guests, our associates, but are the owners aware of this sustainability issue which they have to handle, or they kind of, out on the cash?
If I just may add, I think we all have responsibility. I think owners, operators, and government and customers alike. And I think governments will have a huge role to play, in which they will, limit the usage of certain unsustainable solutions in the future. I think they can definitely drive this forward. And then in that case, that's gonna force all the other players as well to move into that direction. Right now, I think in the pandemic situation, we don't really see a lot of sustainable solutions. In fact, we see the opposite. We see single-packed food items. We see a lot of other things which we actually were trying to move away from in the past couple of years, but now, because of safety and health issues, just think about the masks. I mean, you throw them away, you buy new ones, so it's certainly doesn't seem like a sustainable COVID
We're trying
situation.
to protect our health. We're trying to protect our health to be then sustainable.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a chicken and egg situation that we're trying to be green. But on the other hand, we have to protect our health.
Well, let's hope that COVID is not sustainable.
That's the general aim. From the operational point of view. Sorry.
Sorry, if I just may add one thought maybe, because I think sustainability is not necessarily more expensive than a non-sustainable situation or solution. I think this is also important to mention, because sustainability can be actually making profit for the company. For instance, we have uniforms. The uniforms which are worn out by the stewardesses. We make out of them carpets for the airplanes. So actually, we are saving money. Or we are washing the aircraft in a way that we use less water and less chemicals. This is also sustainable, at the same time saving money. Or instead of having the pilots, the big books, carrying with them on board, they have now an iPad, which contains much more information, but much lighter. So that means, again, we need less fuel to fly. So there are very positive, there are many sustainable solutions which are actually saving money.
Yeah, and if I may add on that, for example, we are collecting rainwater to flush the toilets and do the laundry. So we're saving 50% on our water bill. We have so many solar panels that we are a net supplier of electricity to the grid. So instead of that, we have to pay the utility company. We get money from them back. So indeed, there are many solutions which are in fact saving on costs as well.
There's a specific question to Balázs and Arne. It goes, dear Balázs and Arne, have you already created sustainability action plans for each hotel separately, or do you follow an integrated global central plan? Is there anything you are particularly proud of in terms of sustainability?
Arne? Yeah.
Well, I think
we follow certainly a global plan and initiatives that are rolled out from headquarters or European headquarters. However, I can say that we are particularly proud that we work on this Redown project in Hungary for our location, which we could potentially roll out for the rest of Europe. So it's an innovation hotel and used for many proof of concepts. So we are happy to test anything that's new and that can be established in a variety of our hotels.
Balázs?
In our case, it's the same. So I don't think there is an individual opportunity for each hotel. I think it's much better, much more efficient if all the hotels follow the same plan. And that's what we are trying to do as well. So we on the one hand, our marketing, our positioning is with local. We say local is beautiful. And we are trying to, play on that. We are a local player, a regional player, not a global player like Marriott. So we have a different message, and that in itself, carries some sustainable approach as well, because we are trying to source locally. On the other hand, we have to realize that sometimes sourcing locally is a challenge, because we may not find, provider who can deliver the quality and the quantity on this all the time. And then what do you have? Then you turn to the global suppliers as well, and then you suddenly don't become as sustainable anymore. So it's a challenge, but all our hotels are following the same principle. And I think what is very important and what we have found is shaping the attitude of our associates and customers alike. And it's a step-by-step process. It's going to take significant amount of time.
Do you guys see that the associates, when they travel, they bring back initiatives from other sectors, other hotels, and they try to convince their managers, guys, I've seen it in a different property, why don't we try it here with our hotel? Do you get these feedbacks from the colleagues?
Yes, we do. we have a great number of hosts who, whenever they travel on our Explore Rate to see other destinations, we are very fond of photo taking. So whatever they see, whether it's a different approach on how to serve breakfasts, do packaging, innovations of other hotels, they always bring home, show photos, and then we'll see what we can implement here locally.
Is there a difference when we talk about sustainability of a city hotel and the resort hotel, or there's not much of a difference between the two types of properties or products?
I think if you're in a city hotel, or let's put it the other way around, if you're on the countryside, you have more possibilities, for example, to generate your own electricity, simply because you have more space. If you're a city hotel with a limited roof, then probably your only way out is making sure that the electricity you buy is green. So that's a difference.
I think there is always a flip side of the coin. In a city, guests are staying shorter, and therefore you practically need to service the room on a daily basis. The average length of stay is 1 night, 1.5. your customers checking in and out almost every day, so you have to change the entire linen, everything in the room, and clean it again. In a countryside hotel, they probably tend to stay longer. Hence, you have an opportunity not to service the room every day and maybe save on that and be more sustainable. But on the other hand, there are more facilities they use. There are pools, there are leisure facilities, and that will require more towels and linen and everything. So I don't really think there is a fundamental difference in the impact a resort or a city hotel will have on the environment. It's probably quite similar to one another. That's what I think.
There was one more question from the audience. It kind of, we can use it as a wrap-up question. Is the travelers who educate the service providers, or the service providers induce sustainability for their clients? Or it's a bit of both? What do you guys think?
I think it's, as Balázs mentioned during the panel discussion also, there are some items that we make mandatory for every guest in-house, whereas there are some services that we would keep optional for our customers.
So it's kind of like a mutual game for everybody that has to be part, equally the service provider, and also at the same time our guests have to also adapt to the new rules and educate us. This is kind of an equal game.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think in the end it's the service provider that should lead the way. It's very difficult for a client. Yeah, if a hotel turns out to be using plastic, well, what can you do as a client, as a guest? So I think the primary lead should be with the service providers, maybe in offering options between regular and sustainable. But the service providers have the possibilities and the manpower and the knowledge and the technology to make the change.
So basically, we have to step up to the front of the row, and we have to lead the light for our clients, sort of educating them that we are helping you to enjoy a sustainable stay or flight if you're using an airline. Okay. Actually, we kind of like running out of time and questions. Is there anything that bugs you and a topic that you might want to comment or add in the sustainability issue that relates to travel and hospitality industry that we may have left out?
Maybe only one comment on. There was a wonderful article in Travel and Leisure these days where there was the topic about in terms of sustainability, people still traveling, but how to give them comfort and security. What are ways to further innovate in our properties, such as attending larger conferences? Can we broadcast the conference into the guest room where the guest can actually enjoy the conference without being too much exposed, but still being able to travel to the destination? Bringing, adding screens to the TV, such as the rainforest, to bring a digital picture into the guest room. Or how we can potentially make use of the fact that people who are not traveling right now and are stuck in their living room, who started to work out, how can we basically bring that habit into our guest rooms at one point?
So we have to prepare for a hybrid life in a way that we
yes,
think.
We do.
Still, just like now, we're in a conference room, but guys, hey, don't stay home. But you can have the option to go down to the conference zone to mingle. But you can stay in your room if you don't want to interact with a huge crowd. So let's hope that travel comes back soon, and we'll be enjoying such discussions more live than in the screen version. So with these words, I would like to thank you guys for being with us in the main room and with this tool, and let's hope to join each other in another conference soon. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Attila.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Köszönöm szépen.
It was a pleasure. Köszönjük.
Okay. Thank you.
Köszönöm szépen.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.